And we back, people. Actually, uh, yeah, yeah, we're gonna do it like that, like this, like that. All right, yeah, we're gonna be reacting to Anime Balls Deep. Yeah, yeah, y'all hear the scruff. Anyway, all right, I'm a big fan of these guys. I've been watching them. I want to say since their channel like roughly first started, back when they were doing like skits in their house in the backyard, stuff like that or whatever. Um, they were a big influence for me because I remember there was a point, there was a part in their journey, a point in their journey where they had to make a decision whether they wanted to progress and keep going with the whole YouTube thing or if they were going to proceed with the status quo and just, you know, sorry about that. Proceed with the status quo and just, get a job, do everything. But, they chose to press through and became this amazing channel that we all love. That being said, I hope to do a video with these guys one day. And we know them in the community as Anime Balls Deep. And we love them. And last video they made about One Piece, they hinted at something that I've been trying to tell people in the community for a long time, at least a year or so. I can actually pull the Carfax on that if y'all need me to or whatever. But there's a point where I was like, Roger must have taken care of Shanks, which is why Garp took care of Ace. And the reason I felt like that is not because of the celestial dragon theory. I do believe that, like in their last video, they were talking about Shanks and how they believe that Shanks was a celestial dragon, born person on God Valley. I don't think that was the case. I think the government actually genetically modified or genetically made or scientifically created somebody to control them, to contain the Gumma Gumma no Mi, to control that person, to basically control their own personal Joy Boy. And yeah, I think there's a reason that Shanks, I think that's the reason that Shanks gets to walk around, because he's literally government issued, like he's literally government owned. If he's not a personal, like if he's not an actual clone of Joy Boy, like now that we know what the Gumma Gumma no Mi really is, we can talk about the fact that the giant hat and Mary Joa, or whatever, Mary Joyce, whatever you want to call it, the giant hat in the secret bunker was probably stuck in that form after giantification of the prior Joy Boy. The reason I even thought that he didn't have the devil fruit or have a devil fruit is because Roger, at least, who I'm talking about right now, is because Roger is well, not only is he that dude, like it just kind of pointed to me that his ability was more strongly related to the voice of all things as opposed to devil fruits. And I know that's just because of flashbacks and stuff like that, but even in the simple fact that he was able to hear the poneglyphs, and that led him to go into Wano, or at least that led him into looking for a samurai, which led him to Whitebeard, which even all that is tied to how I even think that they even found Shanks to begin with, how I think Rox and them showed up to begin with. Because think about it, if a person is created, just headcanon shit, if a person is created and they are able to exude haki already from day one, we know that children can do it because we saw Yamato do it. We've seen extreme cases. We've seen cases of children being able to do this stuff. Even with the voice of all things, Momonosuke can do the voice of all things. Like, he's not even a full grown man, and even then, he didn't even grow up chronologically speaking, I guess you could say. But yeah, anyway, I could rant on and on about it, but I'm here to talk about these guys and to react to their channel. I'm just glad that people are getting to the point where they're realizing that the voice of all things is probably more prominent to hockey and greater than hockey. And, you know, and hockey itself is a thing, because it just made sense to me that devil fruits were probably created by subjugating the will of something and putting it into a fruit, which is hockey. So if that's the case, then nothing can actually beat the thing that created devil fruits, which is more than likely hockey. I'm saying that here now. Hockey is more than likely involved in the creation of devil fruits. I know it's probably out there already in the world, but I just want people to give me my fucking shine when I say shit, because I'm not talking out my ass. I know it seems bonkers and it seems crazy, but in a world where cloning is real, the German army has an army of clones. Like, it's literally Star Wars, like Attack of the Clones in this bitch. Like, with that being a thing, with lineage factors being the thing, with Vegapunk basically being 500 years in the future, no, dials and shit are floating around. Don't you think the military could use a bunch of dials with all the fucking common marines they have? If Usopp could damn near take down Luffy with a dial, imagine the marines, a whole fucking fleet of niggas with able to absorb lightning from Enel, able to absorb magma punches from Akainu, or, you know, whatever, like, whatever the case may be. The Goro no Mi, like, boom, there it is, all the energy right there in the Tao. Let me just throw it right back at you, or let me throw it at your fodder. You know what I'm saying? Let me throw it at the rest of your crew. In a world where that is needed, and that thing is a real thing, but it's a thing of the past, I don't think that Vegapunk is 500 years in the future. I think he's 500 years in the past as far as the technology goes. If anything, he may be blending and using stuff from the past to create things now, but I still wouldn't put his inventions greater than that of the people who created fucking devil fruit, since you can't even fucking figure it out, Vegapunk. But even that, like, I could go on and on. We're here for ABD. Let's just get into it, bro.
And Oda has finally confirmed that the Pirate King Gold D. Roger had conquered the world without a devil fruit. Nani? For years, the community had been speculating that Roger might have had the power to control the seas, or, you know, like any godlike ability. But in chapter 1047, Kaido revealed to us that Roger defeated all his foes with Haki alone, as only Haki can transcend all. Luffy took his statement to
Talk about it.
and pushed his use of Haki to an unseen level. His Haki grew so big that it made the lightnings from the heavens look kinda tiny. But Kaido's statement made us question just how powerful Roger's Haki would be, because this information not only came from his clash with Roger and his crew, but also by witnessing Roger's peak during the God Valley incident. This very battle
Talk about it. Here we go. Here we go.
And the generations to follow before our current story, where Roger and his crew formed a temporary alliance with his longtime rival, Vice Admiral Gar. Along with his squad, these two legends went up against the Rocks Pirates, who consisted of their captain, Rox D. Zebek, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shiki, and John. Who? Come on, you guys can't be serious, right? You know, Captain John, the dude Buggy has been obsessed over because of his treasure.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Come on, John, he later became a famous captain in his own
Man, leave Captain John alone, bruh.
Let me be clear. I did not.
All right, real quick though. I definitely think that Vegapunk is somehow involved with the Rocks crew because of his crew, because of the people of his crew, because of them, their bodies, their devil fruit abilities. I think that he was on that crew to just to study. Like, it's Vegapunk. Like, he clearly don't give a fuck about anything but science. But yeah, we'll look for, yeah.
Know that. I appreciate that, but I don't give a damn.
Regardless, there are many more legends that came from this crew. But the Rock's pirates, especially Zebek, was considered to be Roger's strongest and most notable opposition. His crew consisted of various overpowered double fruit users. We know Big Mom ate the Soro Soro no Mi early in her life, and likewise, the other members weren't too far behind in strength. Most importantly, Rocks must have been ridiculously overpowered and ambitious to
not only overpowered and ambitious, not only conquerors hockey, but also the voice of all things. They gotta fucking get there.
have all these unique characters following him. Either way, this battle resulted in the dissolution of the crew, giving us an idea that Rocks in fact died during this war. But for them to be defeated by Roger, who neither him nor his first mate, nor his allied partner Garp possessed any devil fruit, reinforces the statement. Roger's hockey that comes from ambition and undying will proved that the truest form of power is that of self-belief.
You gotta have will. You gotta have will.
Power that lies dormant in all the world's creatures present.
And that's what the story has always been about to me. It's not just having your will. It's not just inherited will. It's how you interpret that inherited will. Because you still got to do things your way, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, you still got to live your life. So I think that's, and man, it gets poetic for me, because I feel like this is, even in this scene right here, it's an elder statesman giving up the game to a youngster, trying to help him so he can progress past even himself. You got to give it up to the next generation. I don't know. Like, it's as an older gentleman, as a man getting older, as time progresses on all of us, I can't help but look back and say, like, yeah, as much as I still love anime, I do look at anime differently now, because I have a much broader perspective of things. And I feel like that's how Garp and Rayleigh and, you know, all the old dudes and all the old ladies of One Piece are looking at this generation, which is why they can call them like the worst generation and shit like that or whatever. But we'll keep going.
Fighting spirit and intimidation. It is not different from the things that humans can naturally sense, such as these. The act of not doubting, that is strength. And Goldie Roger was the epitome of this. So to understand how Monkey D. Luffy will become the very strongest and harness the power of a pirate king's hockey, we are going to break down the entire life of Goldie Roger and how he became the strongest man to ever live. Starting from the very beginning, 77 years ago from the current story, Goldie Roger was born in Logtown, a city on the Pole Star Island in the East Blue. Older stated, Logtown is the combination of prologue and epilogue, where another name for this city is the town of beginning and the end, because Roger was both born and executed there. If one thing to know is that this city's design is based on Florence, Italy.
Wow.
Roger might have been
So Roger had been an Italian this whole time. That's fucking dope. I'm literally only pausing to talk about it because it's a reaction video, so yeah.
Italian in our world. Regardless, there isn't much we know about Roger's upbringing. However, according to Garp in chapter 588, Roger's childhood was much like his own son's Ace, where he went through a difficult time and developed a fear of losing his loved ones. This could mean that Roger lost his family at a very young age, and considering Logtown is the hotspot location, very close to Reverse Mountain and just out of sight of the Red Line, a lot of pirates would be passing through, stock up for the Grand Line. Roger, witnessing all of this as a child, likely fueled his ambition to become a pirate himself. Now, I'm not saying there was a Shanks figure in his life, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was. Right, there is also the question of where did Roger obtain his notable straw hat, which was eventually passed down to Shanks, then to Luffy. This straw hat has a huge significance as an identical but gigantic.
That's something that I feel like we definitely have forgot about as a community, is the question of where he got his straw hat from. And right here we see it. They have a hat. So my thing is like, even the empty throne has like blades around it with like rust and shit on it. Man, ain't no telling. I'm not married to the idea of Shanks being a clone, but I'm definitely married to the idea of Shanks being created by the world government. If it's something as simple as him being the childless celestial dragon, that's gonna be whack and corny. Yeah.
Straw Hat is frozen and hidden away by Imusama. But regardless of how Roger obtained the Straw Hat, Garp pointed out despite living that reckless life, he got lucky and survived. The loss and hardship that Roger faced as a child molded his personality to hold loyalty above all else. Garp recalled how Roger destroyed an entire army of a nation just because they spoke bad about his friend. Like, come on, we all wish we had a Roger in our lives, even after society saw him as a criminal.
Be the Roger in your life so you can be the Roger for other people.
His friends trusted him completely. Roger deep down was poor as a child, but when enraged, he would bring down hell itself. His straightforward and honest nature won the hearts of many, including Garp, who later risked his position to take Ace under his wing. Roger's spirit and ambition was likely tied to this part of his personality, where his haki was directly fueled by this mindset. Understanding loss.
And that's also another thing that like ties like haki to the voice of all things, because like when Luffy fights people, he feels their emotions. And he also translates his emotions too. Which is why him and Bellamy can fight and still be friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's stuff like that. Like, that's what I've noticed in the fighting style for Luffy. It's a lot of, you know, traditional fucking Naruto ass tropes of like power friendship type shit. And I know a lot of people hate that, but it's anime, it's a shonen, it's going to be a part of the story no matter what. That being the case, like, it always seemed like he was translating his feelings in the fights. Even when he fought Usopp, they were translating feelings with each other. And so, yeah, I feel like haki and the voice of all things are closely related, and I feel like the more haki you have, the more you can use to dominate the world, which means the more you can actually put your actual feelings and stuff into the world, not just in like punching the face of your opponents and shit, but also in the sense of like just making your impact on the world.
As a child, feeling lonely and abandoned by parents would force anyone to hold on to true friends with every single fiber in their body. In many ways, Roger's attitude is paralleled by Luffy, who would also go to war with the government itself and the whole world for the sake of a friend. But talking about friends, sometimes later, early in his journey, Roger met Silver's Rayleigh, who was living in a stolen ship after his house burnt down. Roger, impressed by his ship, believed that their encounter was a fated meeting and asked Rayleigh to join him in turning the world upside down. The very same words were later declared by Whitebeard during the war in Marineford to the world government. This was based on what Whitebeard learned from Roger after he visited Laughtale. However, in this version of Roger's case, he had still yet to learn the secrets of the past and future, meaning Roger turning the world upside down was something personal to him, again likely due to his mysterious past or his innate disposition which moved him forwards. Either way, Rayleigh, on hearing all of this, initially laughed and refused Roger's offer. However, eventually he was swayed, where the two then became best friends and lifelong partners. Roger then became the captain of the Roger Pirates, with Rayleigh as his first mate. Around the age of 25, Roger...
Who was that mole rat looking ass nigga? Hold on. This nigga right here. Who is he? This nigga with the horrible face and the haircut.
Captain of the Roger Pirates,
bless it, Lord. Bless it.
As his first mate. Around the age of 25, Roger and his crew was renowned as rookies in the Grand Line. We also know this because around 52 years ago, Brook and the Rumbar Pirates entered the Grand Line. In Shobondi, Brook stated he heard of a rookie pirate by the name of Roger, confirming this status. Now, we don't have much information about Roger's early crew. However, what we do know is that neither of his apprentice Shanks nor Buggy were part of his rookie days. As you know, they weren't even born born yet.
Exactly.
What we can assume is that members like Scopper, Gaban, Taro, and Sunbell were amongst the first in his crew. At some point, Roger's crew was in need of a new ship, where just like the Straw Hat Pirates, they paid a visit to Water 7. The crew then hired the master shipwright Tom, who proceeded to build their famed Oro Jackson, which would go to traverse the world. Like the Thousand Sunny, this ship was constructed using the wood from the legendary treasure tree Adam, being known as the strongest wood in existence. This is a testament to Oro Jackson lasting through the entirety of Roger's life. Though a quick note is that in Buggy's flashback in chapter 19, the ship he is seen in did not look like Oro Jackson, meaning there could have been a temporary ship for his crew, or just retcon. But what we do know is that Roger, with his new ship Oro Jackson, would go on to sail into the new world, where 13 years later, at the age of 38, Roger and his crew had finally reached Lodestar Island, the final island that the log post pointed to. We don't know why it took this long to follow the log post to his final destination, considering the nature of Roger, who wasn't chasing the title to be the Pirate King. He more than likely was just living in the journey. Even so, before Roger, no one had been known to have set foot on this island, making the Roger Pirates the first one in 800 years. Well, at least to the knowledge known to the world during that time. But for certain, no other pirate was able to set this precedence, once again reminding us of the strength Roger and his crew possessed.
There he go again. There he go again. Mole face head ass. Who is this nigga, bro?
Us of the strength Roger and his crew possessed. What likely helped Roger face the hurdles of the new world was his tremendous power to overcome everything with his Haki. Along with that, Roger possessed the voice of all things, which allowed him to hear the echoes of knowledge from, well, all things. Listen, if you guys want me to break down what the voice of all things
it's not the echo of knowledge, man.
Get in this video over 30,000 likes, and then I'll drop a the breakdown of it. But more or less, Roger could even hear voices from ancient objects, including poneglyphs, and was able to get the drift of what it was saying without being able to read the language.
Because think about it like this. And this ties into Black Blades, this ties into Devil Fruits, this ties into poneglyphs. In order for you to hear that there's a mystery and something urging you to seek out the rest of it, urging you to seek out something else, urging you to check it out, pulling you towards it, which is what the poneglyphs have done to Roger. They've done that to Luffy. And even the Well Tree has affected Momonosuke and shit like that or whatever. And there's a poneglyph there. And that's why I brought that up. It seems to me that Haki was used to create the poneglyphs. You're literally etching and writing on something that's indestructible, supposedly. And then not only that, but nobody can scratch your writing off. That don't sound like Kaido's scar and shit to you? That don't sound like Black Blades, that you fight with it, that you put so much emotion, time, and energy into your blade fighting with it that it turns black permanently? I don't even think that's the real process. I think that's something that's I think it's just a red herring or something. You know what I'm saying? I think we're about to see Zoro emerge with a black blade, honestly. Either that or the start of the process to making a black blade, or I don't even want to say it's his complete ownership of Enma, because he needed to do that in order to beat King in the first place. So all that being said, I think Haki is the thing that you need in order to create black blades, write on poneglyphs, create devil fruits. Yeah. Even to have the voice of all things, you need a high Haki. That's honestly what I believe. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's how a poneglyph can draw a person to it, and not only draw a person to it, but let a person know, hey, there's more to the story here. Anyway, I digress. I'm gonna keep watching.
This immensely helped him navigate through the seas, but upon reaching Lodestar Island, They noticed the log post starting going haywire and wasn't registering to point out the previous island, which it should have done if Lodestar was the end. This established that there was one more island ahead, but
not to mention that a lot of people forget about this. Some of these islands' names have meanings. Lodestar is actually a reference to a loading stone, and a loading stone and stuff like that is actually, you know, meteorites and stuff like that or whatever with a lot of iron and stuff like. They're magnetized basically, and so they're magnetic. It's a magnetic pole basically, and so with Lodestar being the way it is, it's probably magnetized to a point of like the log post can't register anything because it's just spinning. We see that in the details of the story. Which is why I always wanted Kid to have the ability to awaken his like devil fruit power, or at least in one of his like base forms of like using the devil fruit power. He could be a living log pose, and that could give him a running to be another contender for the One Piece, if that makes sense. And that's why I also think that his devil fruit power is pretty insanely powerful. But also underused.
there was no way of getting there. Yet, through the years, Roger had been learning more and more about the importance of the poneglyph that he was hearing voices from, and his visit to Lodestar fermented their purpose. Roger understood that the red poneglyph would give clues and be the
like basically like with the last island being called Lodestar, and me having the idea that the whole island is basically called Lodestar because of the high magnetism there's no reason why Kid couldn't be able to just find his way there, you know?
road to reach the true final island. However, before Roger could even begin his journey to the final island, the Roger pirates would undergo one of the biggest events in history, as only a year later we had the God Valley incident. Now the timeline isn't so clear if this happened right after Roger arrived at Lodestar or a full year later. Either way, this shit caused mountains of waves for generations to come. Roxy Zebek guided the strongest pirates the world had ever known to form a crew in order to execute one of the biggest scores imaginable.
Exactly. It was called a heist. And that's another reason why I think that God Valley was actually a fucking laboratory. Like, you wouldn't call a fucking kidnapping a heist. You call it a kidnapping. You wouldn't call an assassination of the Celestial Dragons a heist. You call it a massacre. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so when everybody's talking about all this stuff with God Valley and how it's dealing with the Celestial Dragons, and it's like some kind of summer home like Zuko and his family had and shit like that, like, I feel you and I hear you. But think about the words used in describing God Valley. It was a heist. It was a bloody massacre. It sounds like it was a military compound. And with the fish model type whatever the fuck being there for Kaido, and Big Mom just picks it up and gives it to him, with Shanks being like 1 year old at the time, and already everybody starting to catch on to the fact that Roger took care of Ace. Garp took care of Ace more than likely because Roger took care of Shanks. With all that being the case, like, are you seeing the picture that this is like a government facility more than likely based around the science and manipulation of devil fruits and trying to recreate them, or trying to create them, or trying to create beings who could control them? I'm just saying.
His crew consisted of Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shiki, Wang Shi, Silver Axe, and again, John. Zebek's goal was to become the king of the world. Not Pirate King, but king. Somewhere along their plans was for the Rocks pirates to attack and take over God Valley, a island where the Celestial Dragons would be in, along with their slaves. My guess is that these slaves would do the weird.
Why would they be there when they live in Mary Joab? A whole race of people were murdered for them to take the summer home that we call Mary Joab, Mary Joyce, Mary Jalulu, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Why would we do all that? And I'm not arguing with them, like, ABD. It's not that serious. It's not that deep. But why would they do all that and kill off this amazing race that we all loved when we saw King the Lunarians. Why would we have all these theories about them and their home being destroyed and taken over if these niggas is just gonna go live on God Valley? Makes no sense.
This shit in God Valley. Hence, they needed a separate island away from Marijois. But in order to protect the Celestial Dragons and their
Makes no
the Navy
sense.
was sent with Vice Admiral Garp leading their forces. Roger, being opposite to Zebek as day is to night, joined forces with Garp and finally put an end to Zebek's tyranny. With Zebek's supposed death, the Rocks pirate disbanded, and this is where most of their members later became captains in their own rights. Now, you guys might be wondering, why the heck did Roger stop to help the Celestial Dragons? Well, the thing is, we don't know why he even joined this war.
There's only one thing that comes up in my head canon about it. If anything, Roger probably saw the bloodshed left in the wake of Rocks trying to find or get information on where God Valley is. Or maybe it has something to do with the voice of all things in hockey and somebody exuding a lot of it, drawing both Rocks and Garp to God Valley. I mean, Rocks and Roger to God Valley.
Or it could have been for something unrelated altogether. Maybe Rocks pissed Roger off, or Roger simply didn't agree to his probable death.
There's a reason that nigga number one.
Though, after his battle, the island of God
He a GMO nigga.
we don't even know what happened to the slaves and celestial dragons that lived there. But this brought the community to theorize that Shanks, being a 1-year-old baby at this time, was found in God Valley to be taken and raised by Roger and his crew. Regardless,
Ain't no community, it was me. I was first in play.
Pirate would then go on to continue his mission in finding the road Poneglyph to reach the final island. Somewhere along this time, both Shanks and Buggy joined the crew. Throughout these times, Roger and his crew also got into numerous battles with other pirates. Like we know of how Roger wiped off the male Storm Spider pirates, only leaving behind squads who would later go on to resent Roger, to the point of this emotion being a playing factor for him to stab Whitebeard during the Marineford arc. Anyways, at some point within this time frame, Roger finally came closer to finding Laugh Tale, as he was able to sneak into Linlin, or Big Mom's territory, of Totolan and gain a copy of her road Poneglyph. This later on would inspire the Straw Hats to do the same thing in their own journey. But sometime later, at the age of 47, Roger came across a newspaper learning about a samurai from the One Old Country who joined the Whitebeard Pirates. Yes guys, I'm talking about none other than Odin, leading Roger to become intuition was
Sorry.
no other.
Fucking love Odin.
Due to his innate power of the voice of
Fucking love Odin.
Okay.
Okay.
One thing we cannot ignore is the outside pushing factor of destiny, and sadly not too long after, time itself will be a
And one day we gotta have a discussion between destiny and fate. I know they sound similar, but I feel like they're different. And I think that's another thing that Oda likes to skirt with and flirt with, is the fact that he'll have something like the Goma Goma no Mi that's fated to find somebody, and that person will become Joy Boy if they don't die, right? If they don't, you see what I'm saying? And so it's like, when Luffy gets it, then all of a sudden people are like, well, is he some reincarnation of Joy Boy? And it's like, no, the devil fruit has a will to find the person best suited for it itself. And so it's like, oh, so he's fated to be picked, but is he destined to be Joy Boy? Well, shit, if he dies, then no, he's not. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, I don't know.
crucial matter in his quest.
At the age of 49, 28 years from the current story, Roger came down with an incurable disease. With his death on the horizon, Roger pitched to his crew to go.
And that's another thing I love about him not having the devil fruit, the Goma Goma no Mi, or devil fruit at all anyway, because now we don't have to fucking tie his death to Luffy, and Luffy potentially dying because of some heart disease that he gets from the Goma Goma no Mi. You get what I'm saying? Like, we can end that now. I'm thankful that that's not the case. Ugh.
Go on one last adventure to sail the entire Grand Line. As they set out through Reverse Mountain, they came across Crocus's lighthouse, recruiting the Doctor to help prolong Roger's life long enough for his journey to be completed. A year into the journey, Roger was then approached by Shiki the Golden Lion, a pirate of a similar caliber to Roger or Whitebeard, who had also been in the Rocks Pirates a decade ago.
Yup.
Turns out that Shiki learned about Roger locating an ancient weapon. He proposed to Roger with Shiki's armada of ships and the ancient weapon. The two would be unstoppable. They could both team up and destroy the current world order of the Marines and Celestial Dragons, taking over the entire world. However, Roger said no. With a rejection more brutal than my crush in high school, Shiki went full yandere and said that Roger's answer meant death. If he couldn't have Roger, then no one could. So then a great battle started between the two crews. However, before the battle could get more heated, a huge storm occurred out of nowhere and sank half of Shiki's fleet, as if destiny itself was giving Roger the victory royale so he could reach the final island.
Okay, I haven't watched this, and I'm sorry for pausing it prematurely, guys, but I'm wondering if they're going to pose the question or the thought process that maybe the storm showed up because two Yonko level Conqueror hockey using as niggas, because if Shiki's in the same ilk of Roger, then clearly Conqueror's hockey is a thing for him. If the storm showed up and lightning just hit their side because his will was stronger, maybe.
One more thing this meeting of Roger and Shiki showed us is the words Roger said to Shiki. I don't want to conquer anything. If you can't do anything as you please, then you're not a pirate. This is the same thing Luffy says to Rayleigh in chapter 508, giving us further insight into the type of man Roger was. He didn't want to be a king or a hero of a group, as that would restrict his freedom due to the responsibilities of a ruler has to their subject. Roger just wanted to go on his adventures, making friends freely with no obligation to turn back to. Roger had the same definition of pirate as Luffy or Joyboy, where he just wanted to share his bank sake, his freedom, to others, and left before people would make him responsible.
Yo, I can dig that. I can dig that.
Corresponds to why Roger was strong as he was. Conqueror's hockey at face value may seem like a power to subjugate others. However, it's quite the opposite. This is because before ruling others, one must conquer themselves and their fear. When a person second guesses themselves, they have already lost. But if they have no fear and 100% self-awareness, then there is no way they can lose. This is why Roger and Luffy are able
See, that's that One Piece talk. See, now I'm getting pumped. Now I'm getting amped up.
As they aren't fighting for something other than what is natural to them, which is freedom. At the age of 51, Roger and his crew came across a marine squadron and utterly destroyed them. However, with all the commotion this caused, this caught the attention of the Whitebeard pirates. This just shows how powerful Roger actually was. With just his hockey, he could overpower Odin's two-sword style with ease. While he was sick and not even 100% of his prime. Remember that in 6 years from this encounter, Odin would fight Kaido and nearly beat him, so yeah, it's no surprise that Kaido in chapter 1047 has such high respect for Roger. Anyways, after destroying Odin's entire career in one hit, Roger clashed with Whitebeard, giving us one of the most peak moments in anime history where both of their conquerors' hockey went head to head with their weapons not even touching each other. This fight between the crews lasted 3 days and nights straight and led to a gift exchange between the crews, as Roger and Whitebeard, although rivals, have equal respect for one another.
Man, I love these boys, man.
Roger's many friends outside of his crew. Roger then told both Whitebeard and Odin his goal to reach the last island in the Grand Line. And to achieve this goal, he needed Odin to join his crew for 1 year to help translate the road poneglyphs. Odin, of course, agreed because he's Odin, he wants to go on an adventure and everything, and he became part of the Roger Pirates in their final journey alongside his wife Toki, Momonosuke, and Hiyori. Also, Nekomamushi and Inuarashi also followed Roger as stowaways ways, which could be destiny playing a part in Roger's discovery of the final island, as if Neko and Inu didn't sneak in, then Roger likely wouldn't have found out that the final road poneglyph was at Zou all this time. Crocus also tells Roger that he only has 1 year left to live, so the crew journey to Skypiea, where Roger easily found the Shandorian golden bell through his ability to hear the voice of all things. He also heard about the ancient weapon named Poseidon and asked Odin to write down a message telling the next person of his presence in Skypiea and his goals of reaching the final island. Next up in their journey, Roger returned to Water 7 to visit Tom, who built the Roger pirate ship in the first place, and here he also met a kid, Frankie. We know that Roger had already gotten the transcription of Big Mom's road poneglyph when he snuck into her island, further paralleling Luffy's feat in Whole Cake Island. With Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, and Odin in the ship, they told Roger the location of the final two road poneglyphs, which were in Zou and Wano. On their way to these islands, Roger
I can't wait.
Fishman Island to reach the New World. And he also had an idea that the last road poneglyph was likely located in the sea forest of Fishman Island. When he reached the sea forest, Roger not only found the road poneglyph, but also a blue poneglyph containing Joy Boy's apology to Poseidon. After Fishman Island, Roger and the crew had to stop at Wano not only to...
I wonder if there's a correlation between the colors. Like, I know it's like road poneglyphs and stuff like that or whatever, but like, I wonder if the colors actually mean something more than that. I don't know.
Get info on the road poneglyph of Wano, but because Odin's wife Toki became sick and stayed behind alongside Momonosuke, Hiyori, Nekomamushi, and Inuarashi. With a Vivi card to Zou and a letter from Neko and Inu, Roger then finally landed atop of Zunisha at Zou. He found the final road poneglyph inside the whale tree and figured out how to get to the final island of the Grand Line. At this point of the journey, Roger's condition was getting worse by the day, so they had to be quick in reaching the end. Leaving behind a sick Buggy and Shanks who was taking care of him, the crew with the completed road poneglyphs made their way to the true final island. At this island, Roger learned the true history of the world. He figured out what the will of the D was, the mystery of the ancient weapons, and Joy Boy's treasure. All Roger could do was just laugh at this discovery he had made. While laughing, Roger spoke of his curiosity about Joy Boy, and he wished he could have been around in Joy Boy's time. With nothing but laughter as his reaction, Roger decided to name this final island Laugh Tale. Roger, now at the age of 52, came to unimaginable fame as he was the first pirate ever to sail the entire Grand Line, reaching the final island Laugh Tale, to which the newspaper and the public dubbed him the Pirate King. Through this fame also came every pirate on the sea seeking Roger and his crew to be eliminated for their treasure. With his health waning and learning that they were too early to free the world in Laugh Tale, Roger decided to disband his crew because he wanted to make a son. Roger also asked Odin that he wanted to meet Whitebeard. So then Roger jumped out of the ship, leaving his final words to Rayleigh that he would not die. This is likely a reference to his will, which will still live on, similar to Joy Boy, whose will has survived for 800 years. Before creating a son, Roger then got his final meeting with Whitebeard, in which he asked if Whitebeard wanted to know what the will of D was and the location of Laugh Tale, but Whitebeard had no interest in any of that, as he was just happy sailing around with his family. Barely any time left in his life, Roger then does what any man would do in his situation. He goes on a quest to find some good pussy.
Oh my god, get the fuck out of here.
Roger travels to Batarilla and meets the love of his life, Portgas de Rouge. They do some naughty stuff and she gets pregnant with Ace or Anne if it turns out to be a girl. But with his life pretty much over due to the illness, he didn't have time to wait for his child to be born, so he left to get some milk.
What happened to the original?
Wow.
So he ended up surrendering himself to the
Wow. So that's what we're gonna do to
Marines so they would stop searching for him.
Nigga, that's Ace Daddy, bro.
And his unborn child safe. The Marines, of course, imprisoned him and made preparations for his...
Okay, quick thing. When they came back from Laugh Tale, Shanks cried, right? I think that's because Shanks in the same vein of like the failed devil fruits and stuff that the government has, everything that they try to do that the D clan did, everything they try to contain that the D clan contained is a failure. It's a failure. Yeah, so when it comes down to it, I feel like when they came back and Shanks asked him a question and then began to cry, I think he asked, "Did I fail?" or something along the lines of that, having gained his memories back of being around 800 years ago. I think he needed the Goma Goma no Mi to actually complete himself, or at least that's what he was thinking, which is why he went to go seek it out in the first place, which is how it got to Luffy. But yeah, man, we're not gonna do this to Roger. We're not gonna do this to Ace's daddy. Like, he ain't just step out on his family, bro. Y'all disrespectful, bro. Y'all disrespectful, son.
Execution in the town of his birth, Logtown. While in prison, Roger met with his old enemy Garp. With mutual respect for each other through their many skirmishes over the decades, Garp and Roger had shared similar morals in life, especially the idea of saying that an infant shouldn't have to pay for their parents' sins. Thus, Roger asked Garp to find his child and take care of them. As Garp went on to find Roger's wife Rouge, the Marines put Roger in the gallows to make an example of it, to show the world that the Marines can even capture the Pirate King. However, just before Roger's head was yeeted, he yelled out the words we all know him for. "My treasure, if you want it, I will grant it. Search on, all the world had to offer. I left that in one place, the One Piece." These words did the opposite of what the government hoped for, with the entire world's eyes and especially the next generation of pirates being in the audience, such as Dragon, Mihawk, Shanks, pretty much all the big shots of the future. Roger's words only motivated them to keep pirating, thus leading us into the great pirate era.
And see, there's a part of my head canon also, there's a bit of me that wants it to be Roger was able to use the voice of all things as well as like hockey or something like that or whatever, and actually say those words to make a lasting impression. Also, his life just being that fucking grand and being that dope, and him just being that good of a dude, meeting all those people, saving all those lives, and saying, yeah, my treasure's still out there. Go find it. It's up for grabs. I could totally see that be a reason to celebrate too. You know what I'm saying?
In One Piece, with the death of Gold D. Roger, the strongest hockey user and pirate to ever live. Now, if you want to learn more,
I wouldn't say to ever live. We're forgetting Joy Boy. We're forgetting Luffy. We still don't know how high his ceiling will go. Anyway, all jokes aside, I'm waiting for the day and the moment when you guys and the rest of the community starts talking about the fact that there more than likely was a person that was alongside Joy Boy that was a traitor to the D Clan, in the same way that Roger had Rocks, in the same way that Luffy has Blackbeard. I also want to get into the discussions about the fact that the wills of Joy Boy, as well as the will of whoever the traitor was, are being passed down differently. Even if you just want to stick to Roger and Rocks and how the wills are passed down, they're passed down differently. Yeah, I'm gonna get to making more videos. I'm trying to get better about making videos, not actually coming up with content or making videos, but I like the actual production of videos. There's so much I gotta learn, guys, and there's so much I want to do, and I'm literally saying, guys, as with the hopes that in the future that people will see this, because there's literally nobody here right now. But that's beside the point. I'm not even tripping over that, because every channel starts out small. But the thing is that, like, I have to get better at production, otherwise I can't get an audience, and I have to build my platform too. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. There's a bunch of videos I want to do. I gotta figure out my own format. I gotta figure out my own way, and yeah, I hope to eventually talk about King Killer Chronicles with you guys, because if you guys are One Piece fans, I know you'll love the world of Tamrant and Kvothe and everything that he gets into, all the shit that he gets into. yeah, man, love you guys. Y'all have a great day, and it's been real. Yeah, bye.